So with our lovely Miss B, we're going to work a little bit on the beginning stages of going to target mat or bed, and then see if we can practice a little bit with the stay position and see how she rocks it. So ready, Bella? Nice check-in. So I'm just going to go ahead and also feed for any moment her little body ends up targeting the mat. In the beginning, if you're helping her by kind of lowering her on top of the target, don't worry, as long as she doesn't seem overwhelmed by it. So if she was really hesitant and nervous about the new dog bed or the raised cot or something that you might be using, make sure she just has time to check it out on her own, and then make sure that it's slow enough where she's feeling comfortable. So for the stay behavior, I like to think about it almost like freeze tag with room service. So while my puppy is stuck in a sit or a down, or sometimes even standing on a target, I would feed them several snacks while being there. This would then turn into your stay, which again could be any hand signal you prefer. But I want her to think that the benefit is for not moving from her stay sitting position or down. And then let's say we want to end our stay behavior. I'm going to feed her last snack, say all done. And if your puppy doesn't dislike touch, you could add a little bit of touch and caress, and then get them up and wiggling. So there's no food being given for when they get off of the target or end the stay. So again, bed, yes. We're going to go ahead and feed her for being on the mat. From there, we might get into a little sitting position, yes, and feed for that. So you'll see that right now I'm feeding for every little skill she's offering. I wanted her to, again, build up value in each one having a distinct account. So again, we're going to tell her to stay and then feed throughout this, and we go yes and feed. You don't have to mark it the whole time. If let's say you just want to feed a couple rapid fire snacks while she's rocking it, feed for that. Nice. So right here, I don't mind if she goes into a down position. The main goal is that she's not wiggling and she's holding this little bubble for now. So she's very tired. We were doing some play, as I mentioned earlier. She and Mr. W have hit it off, which is wonderful. Sadly, Mr. Z, I know he's a lovely man, but he's a bit bigger. So we don't want him to wrestle too big around littles, but we also want to make sure that the littles are feeling comfortable too while they're engaging with other puppies. So they've done some beautiful hellos to the fencing, and they've done some quick little highs, how are you, a little bounce back to me. And right now our little lady says, when is it nap time? So with this stay, you'll see that sometimes I pick moments where my puppy is a little bit tired, but not so overtired that she's a piranha with legs, and that she's so tired that she's unable to function. So if your puppy, oh big sigh, if your puppy is really pooped out, obviously just let them do their thing and let them take a rest. But sometimes there could be moments where you might be also capturing for softness or capturing for a behavior, not necessarily a skill set. So with the lovely lady working a little bit with this lovely settle on her mat can be a great way to build up value in relaxing. Which for most puppies is very hard unless they've come to the end of their rope and then maybe they go to the crate or the corral to take a good little nap, which is still a great option for them to make sure they're getting enough rest. So, but with our lovely little Miss B, make sure that while you're practicing, if there's a moment where you think your puppy is going to be successful, awesome. If there's a moment where they're not doing so well, don't worry, but see if you can sometimes lower the criteria. Maybe ask for a simpler version or a softer setup. And if your puppy only has a few minutes here and there to practice, perfectly fine. She says it's time for her nap. So we're probably going to give little Miss B a breather because she did do some awesome practice today. She, and again, like mentioned earlier, Winston were doing a really nice job playing. So I think she's a little bit more winded than she was even on Tuesday. So remember that when she comes home, if she's a little bit of a wild woman, it's more than likely she's overtired because they're not always napping perfectly in here because it's not home. But you may find that when she gets home, definitely a good 1 to 2 hour rest period or sometimes longer. If she's unconscious, just let her ride it out. But if you find that she goes a little bit wild, I know she's like, lady, you're not feeding me for doing my beautiful downstay. Oh my gosh, look at you. But I would recommend to give her the downtime, even if she seems like she has a lot of energy. That's typically puppyhood for overtired. So, but for our little Miss B, she's really doing a splendid job. So we've been working a little bit, obviously, with her name recognition. She's been working a little bit with that positive interrupter. She's now starting to work on going to her placemat. And of course, she might be taking a nap right now. And then just continue working a little bit with everything here and there throughout the day, and you'll find she's even more successful with her learning down the road. Two, I did notice she is having some fine moments outside, but as you mentioned, she's still having a little bit of confusion with the house training. I'd almost double check. I don't think she has a UTI, but it'd be something I would just make sure she doesn't, because I know she's a little bit like she's almost gotten herself a little bit wet a couple times, and she almost looks a little bit stained. Oh, and don't mind my little wild woman. She's playing with Winston on this other side with the flirt pole, so Winston does enjoy that toy quite a bit. So if you didn't hear the bang, awesome, but otherwise it was the flirt pole bonking the wall. But with our little Miss B, if we're finding the house training is still, even though you're keeping it very structured, very much so on a schedule, and you're seeing how much water and food is going into her, then you may be finding that maybe there could be a UTI going on. So sometimes just catching a bit of urine and checking with your vet and seeing if you could drop it off or bring her in may not be a bad idea. Because if she's really struggling and doesn't almost have the ability to hold it, then that sometimes is the underlying potential for a medical problem going on. So, but Miss B did awesome as she's literally falling asleep in front of you. But she's really a lovely little lady and doing so, so nice. So keep up the good work, Miss B, as you're unconscious, and we'll work her again a little bit later.